Hello soap fans and welcome back to our channel on this beautiful day. We are so excited to dive into the latest developments in Port Charles because the drama is absolutely off the charts right now and the emotional stakes have never been higher. Let us get right into the breakdown of Tuesday's incredible episode. I am absolutely buzzing with joy over that magnificent scene between Laura Collins and Sonny Corinthos. When Laura looked Sonny dead in the eye in that dimly lit warehouse and declared, "We have endured this nightmare together. Let's end it together," I literally gasped out loud. To me, this is the absolute pinnacle of character development for both of these legacy titans. I feel so incredibly relieved by that specific moment because it finally proved that the writers are treating their shared history with the profound respect it deserves. The way I see it, this isn't just a throwaway line of dialogue. It is a profound acknowledgement of decades of Port Charles lore, bridging the gap between the mayor's office and the mob underworld in a way that feels completely organic and earned. I know a lot of people in the fandom are saying this Jen Sidwell storyline is dragging and that they want a quick resolution, but I actually think the slow burn is exactly what is needed right now because I feel like it makes the emotional payoff so much sweeter. When Laura insists on neutralizing Sidwell without crossing deadly lines, I think it perfectly encapsulates her growth as a matriarch who has survived the horrors of Cassadine Island and refuses to let more blood be spilled. I love the way the shadows fell across Laura's face in that Corinthos coffee warehouse setting. It made me feel the heavy, suffocating burden of the blackmail she has been carrying for months. I genuinely believe the writer's choice to have them meet in Sonny's territory rather than the sterile, formal environment of the mayor's office was brilliant because it visually represented Laura stepping into the trenches to fight this war on her own terms. I feel like this is the best they have written Sonny in years because he is actually listening to Laura instead of acting on pure unadulterated impulse. In my opinion, Sonny's willingness to hold back his lethal instincts and follow Laura's legal strategic lead shows a maturity that we have been begging for as an audience. When he just stood there, absorbing her plan to bring Sidwell to justice legally instead of immediately calling for a hit, I felt a rush of pride for his character arc. I think Sonny realizes that Sidwell is a different breed of villain, one who cannot just be eliminated with a bullet without causing massive collateral damage. I interpret his silence in that scene as a deep, calculating respect for Laura's intellect, and it makes me so excited to see how their unified front will finally dismantle Sidwell's empire. And speaking of brilliant, heart-stopping writing, I am completely obsessed with the horrific, claustrophobic genius of the Windermere sub-basement scenes. The moment Ross Cullum tossed an unconscious Liesl Obrecht into Jocelyn Jax's cell, my jaw practically hit the floor. I think the visual contrast between the terrified, fiery Jocelyn and the completely limp, defeated form of Liesl is one of the most striking and haunting images the show has produced this entire year. I feel so deeply invested in Jocelyn's survival right now because the writers have systematically stripped away all her usual safety nets, leaving her to rely entirely on her own wits in a medieval dungeon. When Jocelyn screamed, "What did you do to her?" at her captors, I felt every single ounce of her raw terror and fierce defiance. The way I interpret it, Jocelyn isn't just scared for herself anymore. She is suddenly thrust into the harrowing role of a protector for a woman who is usually the most formidable, terrifying force in any room. I believe having Liesl chloroformed and dragged into the exact same cell where Anna Devane was held captive months ago is a masterful stroke of continuity. It makes me feel like the ghosts of Windermere's past are closing in on them, creating a suffocating atmosphere of dread that you can practically feel through the screen. I genuinely think we are missing the entire point of the narrative if we just see Liesl's kidnapping as a convenient plot device to replace Britt Westbourne on the science project. In my opinion, this is a deeply emotional, psychological violation of a mother who is already out of her mind with terror for her missing daughter. When Jen Sidwell coldly told Cassius that locating Britt is no longer a priority, my heart completely shattered for Liesl. I love the twisted, sickening logic of Cullum ambushing Liesl in her car to force her to finish Cesar Faison's prototype. It honors the dark, complicated legacy of Faison while giving Liesl a storyline that forces her to confront the absolute darkest chapters of her past. I feel like the writers are setting the stage for an epic, explosive awakening when Liesl finally regains consciousness. I feel so much incredible tension building around Cassius, our fake Nathan West, and I cannot look away from his scenes. When Sidwell told Cassius that finding Britt wasn't a priority anymore, the visible disappointment and shock on Cassius's face gave me absolute chills. I think the actor played that moment with such incredible heartbreaking nuance, the way his eyes darted away, processing the horrifying thought that Sidwell's words might be code for Britt being dead, made me feel an unexpected pang of genuine sympathy for him. I believe this is the exact moment his blind loyalty to Sidwell begins to permanently fracture. I am practically vibrating with anticipation thinking about what happens when Cassius walks into that sub-basement and sees his mother lying unconscious on that cot. The way I see it, the writers have perfectly aligned the dominoes for a massive emotional explosion. Cassius has been playing this twisted role, keeping Jocelyn captive and following orders. But I think seeing Liesel battered and broken will be the ultimate catalyst that shatters his delusional loyalty. I feel like the dramatic irony of the audience knowing Liesel's in that room while Cassius is upstairs receiving Sidwell's cold orders is soap opera perfection. And I am savoring every single second of this agonizing buildup. Shifting gears to the intense emotional fallout at General Hospital, I am completely captivated by the raw, messy humanity of the Ashford family crisis. When Portia Robinson looked at a stern, impatient Isaiah Gannon and begged him to hold off on his actions, I felt the desperate, crushing weight of a mother and wife trying to stop a runaway train. I think the lighting in that hospital corridor, with its harsh, unforgiving fluorescent glare, perfectly mirrored the harsh, inescapable reality that Portia is currently facing. I feel like Portia is carrying the weight of the entire world on her shoulders right now, and the actress is delivering a powerhouse performance. In my opinion, asking Isaiah to pump the brakes on a civil lawsuit or a career-ending medical board complaint against Curtis is a massive overstep, but it is so beautifully and tragically in character for her. I believe the writers are doing a phenomenal job showing how trauma and fear make people act irrationally. When Portia pleaded with him, I didn't see a polished professional doctor. I saw a terrified woman who knows her husband is facing felony assault charges and potential prison time, and she is willing to sacrifice her own professional dignity to save her family. I think Curtis Ashford's stubbornness is incredibly frustrating, but it makes for absolutely compelling television. When he was shown trying to mount a defense and seeking a high-powered attorney, I felt a complex mix of anger and deep empathy for him. The way I interpret it, Curtis is still operating under the dangerous delusion that his physical attack on Isaiah was justified because of the hit-and-run confusion. I love that the show isn't letting him off the hook easily. I believe that having him potentially face off against acting district attorney Justine Turner, or even putting the case in Molly Lansing Davis's lap, raises the legal and emotional stakes to an agonizing level that forces Curtis to confront his own toxic pride. I am so deeply moved by how Trina Robinson is handling this immense family chaos, and I think her dynamic with Kai Taylor is exactly what she needs right now, even if she is fiercely pushing back against it. When Kai acted overprotective and pushed her to delegate her showcase preparations, I felt a genuine, warm care radiating from his character. But I completely understand why Trina demanded answers and got instantly defensive. The way I see it, Trina has survived so much unimaginable trauma that her work at the gallery is her only remaining safe harbor. The only thing in her life she can actually control. I genuinely think the writer's choice to have Trina use her art gallery work as an obsessive coping mechanism is a brilliant, highly accurate psychological detail. I feel so incredibly proud of Trina when she stands her ground against Kai, because it proves she is no longer the naive young girl she used to be. She is a strong, resilient woman who knows her own mind. I believe Kai's suspicion of her behavior is rooted in deep affection, but Trina's fierce independence is what makes her one of the absolute best heroines on the canvas right now. I love the subtle crackling tension in their scenes. It makes me feel like they are building a foundation of real, hard-earned trust that will survive this current storm. What I think makes this current era of the show so undeniably fantastic is how all these seemingly disparate threads are beginning to pull together into a cohesive, thrilling narrative. I feel like the looming venomous threat of Jen Sidwell is casting a dark, inescapable shadow over the entire town. From the gritty Corinthos warehouse to the terrifying Windermere dungeons, in my opinion, the way the writers are weaving the dark legacy of César Faison's prototype into the modern-day blackmail and kidnapping plots is a masterclass in serialized long-term storytelling. I know there are vocal critics online who want the action to move faster, who want Sidwell taken down tomorrow, and the hostages freed instantly, but I strongly and passionately disagree. I believe that if you rush these crucial moments, You lose the delicious psychological torture of scenes like Pascal taunting Jocelyn or Cassius slowly, agonizingly realizing he has backed the wrong horse. I feel like every single scene right now is dripping with rich subtext. When Laura talks about neutralizing Sidwell legally, it feels earned and monumental, because we have watched her suffer through the humiliation of his blackmail for months on end. I also want to take a moment to praise the breathtaking specifics of the production and set design right now. I think the set design for the Windermere sub-basement is doing so much heavy lifting in conveying the tone of the story. The cold, unforgiving stone walls, the sparse, uncomfortable cot, the lingering, haunting message left by Anna Devane, it all makes me feel a profound sense of isolation and creeping dread. I believe that putting a vibrant, modern, fiercely outspoken character like Jocelyn in a gothic, medieval-style dungeon creates a visual dissonance that is absolutely thrilling and terrifying to watch. I feel so incredibly lucky to be a dedicated fan during a time when the ensemble cast is firing on all cylinders like this. From the seasoned, brilliant veterans like Laura and Sunny, anchoring the massive legacy plots, to the younger generation like Trina and Jocelyn, fighting tooth and nail for their lives and their sanity, the balance of the show is simply perfect. The way I interpret the current narrative trajectory, we are hurtling toward an explosive, unforgettable summer climax that will permanently redefine these characters and their relationships for years to come. I genuinely think that if you aren't completely captivated by the life or death emotional stakes of Liesl's brutal kidnapping, or the devastating legal peril facing Curtis Ashford, you are missing out on some of the absolute best daytime drama of the entire decade. I feel a profound sense of joy, loyalty, and breathless anticipation every single time that iconic theme music plays. Tuesday's episode was a perfect, shining reminder of exactly why I will fiercely defend this show, these incredibly complex characters, and these brilliant writers to the very end. The storytelling right now is nothing short of a masterpiece, and I cannot wait to see what happens next.